My name is Chris, and welcome to the Camper Dan Files. Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, we're going to be tinkering and working on a few things and doing some slight upgrades to my R50. One thing in particular that we're going to be working on today is going to be the rear defroster switch. Now the switch that's in my R50, it still works, but the problem is the illumination feature no longer works at night. And I'm just sick of it. You know, my dash looks so weird and abnormally dark without that illumination feature. So we have this switch and a few others that I have laying around here. This is something that I've been working on for a few weeks now. And it seems like every time I pick one of these switches, they don't work. But ironically, I had a center console trim bezel that I shipped to a customer in Puerto Rico. And the switch on that one worked. Obviously, we weren't gonna deny our customer the right to have a fully functioning switch, so I shipped it. And since then, I've been digging around trying to find one that actually works for my personal R50. Next up, and more importantly, we're gonna go ahead and replace the cluster that's in my R50. The cluster works, everything functions as it should, except the 4x4 indication light. This particular cluster does not have the bulb in that position, and reason being is because it's not original to my R50. Turns out that the previous owner replaced my cluster with a junkyard one that was from a two-wheel drive R50. So whenever I put my truck in 4 high or 4 low, I don't get that indication light because a two-wheel drive R50 wouldn't have that bulb in that position. So we picked this one yesterday from the junkyard from a 2001 R50, I believe it was. And it was a 4-wheel drive. And this is what the cluster should look like for this particular truck. Turns out that the previous owner replaced it because there were some illumination issues. Sadly, he never kept the original cluster, and I never got a chance to look at it. Now, the truck itself has about 220,000 miles on it. I think 222 or 223,000 miles on the actual physical truck. But the cluster, I know it's showing close to the 400,000. I'm sorry I've been lying to you guys. I really wish that those miles were true, but they're not. But we still have a lot of miles on this thing, and even more so to go. Now, last but not least, we have a couple of sun visors. And if you notice here, there's a few things that are a little bit different about this particular setup. Now, usually you would find these sun visors on like an Infiniti QX4 or an R50 Pathfinder that may be like a LE trim, because this right here is a premium feature. So you actually get 2 sun visors for one. So you have the main portion of the visor here. This will flip out and go towards the doors on either side. And then you have this little panel here. This will actually flip down and go into your line of sight on the actual windshield. So you get coverage from the windshield and from the door, which I think is awesome. It's something that I've been wanting to do on this R50 for quite a while. A few days ago, I went to the junkyard with my wife, and we were able to score 2 of these. One of them, though, the driver's side one specifically, the vanity mirror was broken. So the other day while I was in the junkyard, I was able to find a driver's side one where the vanity mirror is intact. So we're going to go ahead and swap out all of this stuff and hopefully have some good results. The instrument cluster is going to need some cleaning. I'm hoping that it's not too scratched, at least not more than the one that's in my truck now. The lens does come off. It is removable. There's a few tabs that you can lift and pull away essentially from the face of this, and that will come right off. But what I'm hoping is that I can clean this guy up with some Windex and call it a day. So what we're going to do is go ahead and work on the sun visors first. I think I'm going to start on the driver's side. I got you guys set up here on the side. And I'll try and get some extra illumination going on in the interior there so you guys can follow along. So the first thing we're going to want to do is fold this down, and there's a plastic tab here. A little piece of plastic. I'm going to get a tool to remove that. So on either side here, this is the passenger side. So right here, you're gonna need to get a plastic trim removal tool to remove this, to reveal the two Phillips head screws that are behind that. And then over here is one that's exposed. And the same for the driver's side. See one right there. And then you have to remove that plastic cover there. And then here is going to be a plug that you'll need to unplug. Now, you want to be very, very careful with that plug because it may want to yank itself back up into the ceiling of the truck here. So when you go to unplug that, you want to hold on to the end of it so it doesn't pull itself back up in there. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of fun getting that out again. You guys missed a whole bunch there. So you do have to use this plastic clip that comes with the replacement sun visors, because the OEM or original one, it's not going to fit there. And here we're just trying to make sure that we get holes lined up. A little bit off there. Do apologize, guys. Turns out that my camera, I thought that it was on, but it wasn't. So, but I'll make up for it on the passenger side because we still have yet to swap that one out. But before you get too far ahead of yourself and make everything permanent, you do want to check and ensure that your light feature in your vanity mirror does work. And we'll have to give our mirror a cleaning here in a minute. So there we have it, guys, all nicely installed, and they look like they belong. I'm loving it. So we'll go ahead and clean on these later. I have some upholstery cleaner that I can use. It's like a foam. The next thing we're gonna tackle is gonna be this cluster. Let's go ahead and get that torn apart now. All right, so on our cluster, there's gonna be two screws here that you'll have to remove. Reach up in here with our Phillips. I've had this cluster out once before. It's really not that big a deal. You take these two fasteners out, and then there's going to be 4 sets of screws that hold the physical cluster to the vehicle once you get this trim bezel out of the way. Let me go ahead and get that pulled out now. Now you're going to want to be really, really careful so you don't break this. I'm not too concerned because I do have a secondary bezel that came with the cluster that I picked up at the junkyard the other day. But basically you're just going to take a plastic trim tool and gently pry this out from the top. Now, a little trick to make installation and removal a lot easier. So the top section of this, as you're pulling it out towards you, you can press downward on it. And you can tell from where I have my fingers there. So as you press downward, that will make it come out a lot easier, like so. Now we can see what we're working at. So down here on the bottom right, there's a screw. Then on your top right, another right there, bottom left. The ones on the bottom, you could loosen those all the way because they're not going to go anywhere. There's a channel right there. It's just mainly the ones at the top. Those are the ones that you want to be careful not to loosen them all the way because they could fall into the dash here. And that's definitely not what we want. We don't want to create more work, guys. So I'll take this fastener out by hand, like so, and like so. And then this will slide out and towards you. And then at that time, you can then go ahead, retrieve that screw, and then retrieve that screw. So yeah, guys, this is definitely a junkyard special. You could tell by the numbers written on it and the dots and everything. All right, so now you're gonna wanna have your flathead screwdriver, or even better, a pocket screwdriver, to remove the 3 plugs that plug into the back of the cluster itself. So here we have our pocket screwdriver friend. Yeah, I've been back here once before because even though this was a good used junkyard unit, this one too had a few of these bulbs that were out. If you ever had to service any of these bulbs, you have to take the cluster out and then you have access to everything on the back side. Alright, so now we're going to get the replacement cluster plugged in and we're going to test it out and see where we're at. And I'll show you guys the differences in between both of these clusters. So here's a cluster that was just in my R50, right? See what it looks like? And then look at this one. See the difference? Well, you can see right away the big difference. All right, guys, so right away we can see that our work is not done yet. So we have all the regular lights. We have the battery light, the check engine light, low oil pressure light, brake, seatbelt light. Over here we have the automatic transmission oil temp light. We can ignore that one because this truck doesn't even have that feature. It's not an automatic. The only thing that's illuminated on this cluster is the odometer and trip meter. So we have some bulbs that we'll have to change on. But check this out. Yeah, see that? We weren't getting that before. See? So we now have a 4x4 light. Cruise control works. That turns on and off. So that's good. So we'll go ahead and change these main bulbs and see what we get. So I now have everything nicely reinstalled. I do have a little bit of moisture up here. Let me just wipe that off. So yeah, the lens on this wasn't in perfect shape. The exterior lens, you can see a couple of hairline scratches there. Not a deal breaker. And there is a little bit of dust particulates inside of the actual cluster. I didn't notice that. I wish I did, because I would have cleaned it before I installed it. But that aside, I'm really, really happy with the outcome. I mean, it looks more original now. This is what our cluster should look like, guys. Let me turn off my light here. Bam. So we pretty much had to change every single bulb except the one that illuminates the odometer and trip meter. Let me put my keys in here. This way you guys can see that everything works. High beam. Cruise control. 4-wheel drive. That's the main reason why we changed the cluster, guys. We didn't have this particular feature in the cluster that's been in here. And this cluster is reading around 212,136 miles. So not bad. This is actually closer to what I actually have on the physical truck. From what I can tell, it looks like our fuel gauge readout is working correctly too, because I have just about a half a tank of gas. So yeah, guys, I would say that this bit of work has been very successful. So the next and final piece that we're going to work on today is going to be the rear defroster switch. So far, so good. Everything's been going my way. What I'm hoping is that this is going to be no different. So yeah, guys, I'm extremely happy with majority of things here. Again, we got the cluster in. We have our new sun visors. Still have to clean a little bit. Got a little bit of a smudge there. Like I said, I have some interior upholstery cleaner that I'm going to use on that. Sadly, we weren't able to achieve illumination with our rear defroster switch. I swear, I must have like a good 6 or 7 of those switches, and they all work for the actual defroster feature. So we're going to go ahead and take this thing for a spin and make sure that all the lights on this cluster do work. I'm mainly concerned with the cruise control, but everything else does appear to be working once we got those bulbs changed. Really happy with this cluster. It does work a lot better. You guys can see cruise control does work. So that's a wrap. Yeah, guys, so after all the work that we put in today, I decided to just go ahead and give this thing a bath. It's looking a lot better than before. Again, this thing lives in the dirt, so kind of defeats the purpose to wash it because it's just going to be dirty again in a couple of days. But it is what it is. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you have been dying to see this thing in clean form. So here it is. So there you have it, guys, for your visual enjoyment. There's my R50 all nice and crispy looking once again. And yeah, ready for the next adventure. Did your wife do that? That's right, we're going tool shopping, guys. This is $400 in gift cards to Harbor Freight. Definitely stick around for that. Look, she even got me this cool little battery system tester. Portable vacuum. Yeah. Merry Christmas, everyone. I hope you all got what you wanted. I know I did. Once again, my name is Chris, and thanks for stopping by the Camperdan Files. Until next time, keep using your Pathfinder as a Pathfinder, on or off the pavement. And if you like this kind of content, go ahead and slap that subscribe button. And while you're at it, don't forget to like, share, and comment.